Hello YouTube, welcome back to another one. Right, so in this video I'm going to show you how to shoot like a gangster, right, and hopefully help you out, you know, because I know there's a lot of beginners just starting out and stuff like that, and it might surprise you, but I was only a beginner only 7 months ago. 7 months ago I've bought my first flat band catapult. So anyway, I'll tell you a little bit about my story about how I got to this and my experiences, and it might help you out a bit. Right, so when I was a kid, I had the tube. It was called a Strike 9, but it was just like a Black Widow with the tubes on years ago, and I always had that on us everywhere I went. And I did all right, you know. I got quite a few fully grown rabbits, pigeons, pheasants. Used to get them, but I used to use, back then it was instinctively shooting, right. I used to hold it in my right hand, right, which was my dominant hand. I had more strength in that arm, you know, my right arm. So with the Black Widow, because they were heavy tube bands, you needed a steady, strong arm to hold it, you know what I mean? Otherwise it would have been like, when you're letting it go, it would have been flopping all over, you know? You need a good steady hand, right? So I used to use my right hand, and I used to use my left to hold the projectile. I never used to hold the pouch like that, like we do now. I used to just hold the projectile in the pouch like that, and I used to hold it like this. I used to pull it back a bit further than that, and I used to just judge it. I used to call it judging the shot. And like I say, I used to do all right with it, right? So I'd be like that, and I'd go right there, and I'd let go. So that was the way I used to shoot. And then I stopped. You know, I hadn't done it for years anyway, and then just in December I started watching some like Gamekeeper John's videos and that, and I was thinking, how's he so accurate, you know? Because obviously I used to be good with, I used to think I was good, you know, because I did used to get quite a few things, but I used to miss a hell of a lot as well. And I used to think, how's he so accurate, you know what I mean? I thought I've got to get one of them, the flat band ones. So I purchased off the Catty Shack website. I got it. Ego Ergo was my first catty. It had 0.75 green hunting bands on it. Right, so when I got that in December, I was using my dominant hand again, right, and I was just kind of judging it, going as I was when I was a kid. Right, so, but I was holding it obviously like that now, right, the pouch, and I wasn't getting it, you know what I mean? But I was holding it still. I was holding it brace grip as well, but it was in my wrong arm, my wrong hands, right? So it wasn't under my dominant eye. So so I put the catapult down for a bit, right? I got a bit bored with it because I wasn't hitting consistently, you know. I was just doing the old thing that I used to do. Then I was watching that Catapult Carnage's videos, and he says he used to do the same. He says you need to make sure that you're shooting out your dominant, you're looking down the bands with your dominant eye. Yeah, and he says exactly the same as me. He used to shoot it out of his right hand and use his left, and it wasn't under his dominant eye. And he says when he changed it, it was a game changer for him. Well, I've done exactly that, you know. After watching that video, I changed it. It was a bit fiddly to start with, like it didn't feel right. It felt weird, but you get used to it quick anyway. So so I changed hands, hold the catty with my left now, and now I'm able to actually look down the bands, which is a complete game changer, right? So first off, if you're not doing that, you know, if you're not looking down the bands with your dominant eye, your dominant eye is usually the hand, you know, if you're right-handed, your dominant eye will be the right eye. So that's number one. You need to use your dominant eyes. Your dominant eye, sorry. Right, so that is huge. If you do that, if you're missing and you hit and you absolutely shit and you're not looking down the bands at the minute, and you change that, that's gonna give you a huge leap. Right. And so I'll just show you how I aim. Right, so basically, first of all, you want a decent stance. I keep my feet shoulder width apart, and wherever I'm shooting, I'll adjust my feet. Right, so say I'm standing straight like that, right, with my feet, like, you know, planted together, and there's a rabbit in front of us over there. I'll step with my right foot back like that to give us that stance, and then it'll be like that. Or if there's one to the left of us over here, I'll turn and I'll put this foot forward, and you know, so you just like pivot to wherever you want to be. You know, but if you're standing with your feet like that straight and you're doing that, it doesn't feel right. It feels, you've got to get your feet in a good position. Right, so that's number one, good stance. Well, I'm not gonna go in numbers, but so, and you wanna find your anchor point, right? So mine is under my cheekbone here. Put this bit, lodge it under there every time. Right, so, and that's it, keeps it consistent every time. Then, you know, you're at the same place. Some people's anchor point might be different, you know, judging on height and stuff like that. But when you're shooting as well, if you're shooting and you're hitting high consistently, you might need to adjust your anchor point. So if you're shooting high, that means you're probably a little bit low with your anchor, so you need to come up a little bit, up just a little notch, and try that. Vice versa, if you're shooting low, you might be a bit high, you might be up here somewhere, you need to lower it a bit. And once you get to that sweet spot where you're hitting consistently, that's what you stick to. It's all about just programming yourself. You're programming your body. Your body is the subconscious mind, so you're just programming it. It's like driving a car. When you learn to drive, you don't actually know you're driving. Sometimes you just drive. You don't ever think about driving. It's not thought. It's just you're doing it. You know, your body knows what to do, so it just does it automatically. Right. So your hold as well. You want your nice steady hold, straight wrist, and then, you know, that's where I hold it. Brace grip. Finger and thumb on there, gives you a good steady arm. And then obviously your anchor point, you go straight to your anchor point, nice and steady. Right, and then what you want to think about is your release. Right, so you're going to hold your ball, finger and thumb. Well, I hold it like that, look, but I hold the ball. You don't want to hold in front of the ball, because you're going to get that. When you let go, you're going to get, that's not a clean release. That's going to bump over the top of your finger and it's going to fly off high or whatever. So you want like that. When you're letting it go, it's just, you're just easing your finger and thumb, and it's going out without any resistance. It's not knocking off anything. That's what you want to try and get. Aye, so that's, you want to really work on that as well. You know, if you've got your anchor point and all that sorted, right, and you're hitting, but it's not consistent, it's dotted all over the place and all that. You want to really work on your release, get it nice and crisp, so it's not got any resistance, it's not hitting anything, it's just really nice and smooth. You want to work on your release. And so if I aim at the camera, this is what it'll look like, all nice and lined up, right? So you can see there where my eye is, I'm using that as my aiming point, and I'm aiming straight at my eyeball. I'll try and show you the other way. It's not too easy with the camera, like. I'll show you on the target. Right, so there's the target, right? You line it up. It's not easy doing this way, like, but that's what you want it to look like. Right, so something like that, that's what you want it to look like. When you're looking down the barns, you get that lined up, your barns are nice and lined up, and you're on your target like that. It's really quite awkward to do in this with the camera angle and stuff like that, but you get the gist. Right guys, so hopefully you get the gist of that, right? So it's not easy to line it up actually with the camera, but so you're using this here, this bit here, roughly as your target, right? You put that, using that as your aiming point, you put that on your target when you're aiming. And obviously, right, so you're pulling back, anchor point, nice steady wrist, you're looking down your bands, you put that on your target, and you let go. But I remember when I was first starting as well, I was kind of warping it a little bit, you know, I wasn't holding this, like, so the bands were not completely aligned, you know, they're not both in a straight line. Sometimes one of them was like a little bit warped off. So if you're just starting out, get in the habit of, when you take your shot, actually look down your bands, make sure they're totally lined up when they're at your anchor point, and you put your aiming point on your target, because if they're warped, that's going to fire your shot off as well. I think I've covered it, to be honest. It's just practice after that. But you know, do a few shots on card or whatever. When you start getting consistent in the same, when you're hitting the same place, even if you're not hitting the target, but when your balls are going in the exact same place all the time, or roughly, then that's a good thing, you know, because you're getting constant groups. You can just adjust it, you know. So you just need to adjust something down here, your anchor or your release, or something needs adjusting, do you know what I mean? So you can just work on that. But I hope this helped. But you should, if you haven't already, go and check out the other channels as well, Gamekeeper John and Catapult Carnage. But it's just getting the basics. Once you've got the basics, you've just got to keep practicing on. But it's muscle memory as well in your fingers. Obviously when you're first starting out, they can handle a few shots, and then they get a bit, you know, they can't really hold it. But the more you do it, you know, if you practice a little bit every day, it gets your finger, your pinch grip and all that gets stronger, and so you're able to do it a lot more and stay more consistent. So I hope this helped you anyway. If it did, give us a like, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.